Hi, and welcome to this B1 Usability Package e-learning session on the new WebClient Extension Creator. Before we go in and see how it works, it's very important that you know these requirements. The first one is that you need Usability Package 2022.0 for hire, because that was where the product was introduced. But even more important is that you need to have SAP Business One 10 FP 22.02 or higher. And it's not just because things will not work on lower versions, but there is some bugs inside the web client from SAP that if you begin to use this tool on prior versions, you could potentially damage that web client in order for a user not to be able to even use it at all. SAP can fix it via SAP support, but it's very, very important that you never use it lower than this version. So with that disclaimer, let's go into the product. So here we are in the SAP Business One web client, and it's here that this tool can actually create new tiles in here where you control where those tiles go. So that would make sense if you have some loosely coupled apps, some web apps in general. For example, if you have the B1 cloud apps, or if you have or your customer have a web shop, or whatever it is you wish to have here, you can have tiles that can go to them, and we'll see what the different options are to do that. But right now you can see down here in extensions, there is no extensions in this system yet. And because this is powered by Usability Package, everything happens still within the old client. So you define your extensions here, and then you install them so they go into the web client. And the extension creator, you don't need to activate anything special in Usability Package, but if you have it in the right version, and you have, as mentioned, the right SAP version, you can up here see a tools web client extension creator. And if you go in here, you will see out of the box you have only this. You have an out of the box one that have some B1 Cloud apps in it. We will look at that a little later. But for now, let's just make a new extension by pressing the new extension button over here, and it will open up the creator. So the first thing we need to do is give it a name. Let's call it my first extension. And as you can see as a warning here, it only can accept ASCII characters. So if you begin to use special characters, it will turn them into underscores in the finished build. That's because the name is also the ID of your extension. So we give it a name, and we then have one or more tiles. So if we looked in the web client, there's a bunch of tiles. So each of these are called a tile, and each of them have some kind of title, a subtitle, and an icon. In SAP's case, some of them have some lower down here. That is not something that's supported in the extension part of it yet, but could come later down the line. But we want to have an extension with just one tile, but you could make 10, 50, 100. There's no limitations here. And the first tile, let's just give it a name, my tile. And a subtitle, it's optional to put that in, but let's just write my first cool tile. And then you need to choose where it should go. In our case, we will start by just sending our user to Google. But again, this is all about if you have an app, either SAP related or not, you can write the URL to that app and have it as a shortcut in there. You could also, as partners, add a tile that link to your support page, for example, where you get support about SAP Business One in general and so on. It's only your imagination that choose what should go here. But let's just take Google.com. Next up, we need to choose what's link type. So you can see it can either say new window or existing window. We'll check that out, what that exactly means. But it's essentially if when you press the tile, should it open a new tab in your browser, or should it take over the SAP Business One client itself and show the data inside that tile. The final thing you can do is to put in an icon type, and there's 3 different options on how to do that. You can either use a predefined SAP icon, and if you press this button here, you will be taken to all the different tiles that SAP have defined and you can use. So let's, for example, put this wrench in here, and we just take this small SAP icon URL and put it inside our system. That would be one way of doing things. Another way would be to specify a URL yourself. So there you would need a HTTPS to some kind of PNG file. Or if you want to embed an image, you can actually get a 32 by 32 pixel from your machine. Let me see if I have one here. Just grab a random file. Pictures. I don't have one specifically, but let's take the BioMIT logo. And that image will actually be turned into something called a base64 string, so it's embedded into the client itself. In our case, let's just go with the SAP icon. So get that again and put that in. And now I could turn this tile off and on, so it's not active if I'm just building it but not ready. But else, we just simply press add. And when we do that, we get my first extension here. So now we have defined the extension, but we haven't built it, and it's not like if we go to SAP that it's suddenly there now. That is whenever you wish to do that. So if we are about to do that, we should press the build extension. So I will build both this extension and this, so we can see both up and running in the system. So, and here again, because it is so important that you need to have feature pack 22.02 or higher, you're being told to confirm that you won't install this, because you could technically run this version of B1UP in a newer version, take the file we just recreate in a minute, and put it onto an older system. But again, please don't do it. You will break your customer's web client if you do so in certain cases. So please don't. There's the more info button here that will tell more exactly what can go wrong and how to get it fixed, but it's only SAP that can actually fix it. But we confirm here because we are on a version that is okay. And I will just make a small folder here called extensions. Because what will happen is it will create a file. And in this case, you can see it made a version 2022.3.0. That is because we are in 2022 at the time of this recording, month 3, and it's the first time we built this extension. I will show you when we build a new version where we tweak a bit, that it will get at 2022.3.1 instead for the next version. I'll just quickly do the same for the cloud apps, so we have a bit of things to look at. But if we want to see how they are defined, we can simply go and say add extensions, and we can see there will be 5 different tiles for the cloud apps going to the various versions of the B1 cloud apps. But let's build the extension. Can confirm, put it into extensions. And I've built this a few times before. That was the reason why it got a .3 version. So now let me quickly go to the extensions, and you will see there's 2 files. Not very big files, but you can see they are called mtar files. That's the extension name, just like .zip, .exe. That is the name of extensions for the web client. And the name is just the name we had before, then WebClient Extension, and then the version. And you can see here again, I built this cloud apps a couple of times before. That was the reason why it got a .3 at the end. If I build it again, and I can do that as many times as I want, and put it back into extensions, it will now get a .4 version. So I might have made a mistake in this one, discard it, and then use this version. So now we have the extensions built. Now we need to deploy them to the system. And the easiest way to do that, if you have full access, is just press this extension manager. It will open up the extension manager that exists in SAP. I have it already open here as well. You can also from SLD go to it. It's normally the server name .40,000/extension manager. And in here, we need to install the app. We simply press import, make us choose, and go into taking my first extension. And then let's say upload, and just press next. There's a link here. You should probably press it, but in many cases people forget. So let me show you what happens if you forget this step. So I have now installed the extension, but if I refresh the client, we actually don't see it. Sometimes that can be because you have made customizations, and in that case, the extension will only be shown from up here and down here. So if you don't see it at all, also check here just in case, but you can see there's only the extension help. And the reason why we're not seeing it right now is because we have installed it into our SAP environment, but we haven't assigned it to what database we want it to be in. And that is what we do either from the link I didn't press or the company assignment. And over here I have my different databases, and I simply say assign here, and I will now assign the add-on to that specific database, which is called B1UP in my case. As we can see here, this is the real name of the one, and the other one was the technical name. And if I press F5 now, we should be able to see our first extension. And here it is with the right icon we chose and everything. And when we press it, it will just go to Google. Again, go to your support page, go to your customer's web page, go to whatever page we want. So that was one extension. Let's add one more and see how we can do it in one go here as well. So let's go in, find our extension. That was B1 Cloud Apps. Upload that. And this time, sometimes this happens. This is an SAP bug. If it happens, you need to log out of the extension manager, log back in, and then the system will work. This has nothing to do with what B1 have built. This has been there for a very long time. Unfortunately, it happens due to some timeouts. But we installed the next extension, and if we press this one here, we can go in and do the assignment in one go as well. So if we go there, say finish, we now have the two extensions here, and we can also see over here that both of them are assigned to company. And if we log into Business One again, seems it threw me out totally. We should be able to see the extensions down here now. So we added two extensions, but one of them had one tile and the other one had 5 tiles. And these will go to the various inspect and produce like you normally know them from the B1 Cloud apps. So this is the main core of this, but let's explore a bit about the link type. So if we go in and make a change, first of all, it could be that we had a mistake. We had a mistake in the URL, we had a mistake in the title, or the customer wanted a different title, a different icon. We can of course go in and do that. If you change the name of the extension, it will actually see it as a new extension, so be careful about that. The name up there is only shown to you, it's never shown to the user anywhere in the system. So just pick a good name in the beginning, and if you need to change it, you also need to know that you are actually building a brand new extension at that point. But let's say we wanted some changes. We wanted to instead have it run in an existing window. And this, I will show, will not be possible for Google because Google doesn't allow iframes. But let's see that instead in the B1 Cloud apps, where I could go in and choose, for example, the build app here, and also turn it into an existing window. Let's build the apps again. So now we are building a new version, .5 for the Cloud apps. And because we're building it the second time now for the first extension, we will get a .1 app at the end. We have built them now. We can go back to Extension Manager, and upgrading one is just like an existing installation. You don't need to get rid of the existing ones or anything. You simply just take a new version, a higher version, upload. It says it already exists, so we will just, and again, SAP, please fix this. Let me re-log in. Get out so we can log in again. It is quite an annoying bug, but at least we can do our work with a bit of extra logging in and out. And again, I'm doing all these at the same time. We actually see it already updated it. It was just the GUI messing out. And in the same manner, we can update to the new version of my first extension, and here just went OK. And again, we don't need to company assign again. That is already happening automatically. We can now refresh the app. That's the only thing you need to do in order to get these new things. And we now have that this tile will, instead of going to a new screen, it will try to show the extension inside the app. So you can see it calls it my tile, and in this case you can see Google refused to connect, and that's because Google don't allow what is called an iframe, which this is. But fear not, we can do that with other things again. So we cannot control if a specific URL can allow an iframe or not. But for example, build that I put into this system does allow it, so you can not the account part. But if I quickly, yes. So again, it is all up to you to actually choose something that can run as a existing app. I think Bing can do it, so let's try to go in and do that. an existing, and let's quickly get an icon. Let's just take this one. So again, this has nothing to do with the product not allowing you to specify it. It's simply, does the individual web app allow you to do this or not? And as again, the individual apps from B1 can actually do it if you have a login already, but else it is up to what the different apps allow. So I created the first extension now with 2 entries in there. Let's have a look. Build the extension. Go. And not my Outlook. We need the web prior. And let's see if we are allowed this time to work without logging in and out. Yes, we were. So let's see if Bing allows it. And extensions. Now we have Bing. And you can see Bing is now running inside the web client. So again, if you have apps that allow iframes, you can do it. If not, as we saw, they will simply refuse, and you know why. This is also documented, of course, in the system. So that is the web client. Again, you can make as many extensions as you want. You can make as many tiles as you want in there. And this is only the beginning of the WebClient Extension Creator. We have more ideas, but we can only implement them as SAP releases more and more features. Again, one of the main things I would do for all your customers using the web client is definitely to make a link to your support page. Again, if you have web shops and so on, so they feel more integrated in the web client. And as we go along with SAP and they add more and more things, we will, of course, evolve this as well. So this is only the first step in the journey towards web client extensions. So with that, thank you for attending this session. Hope it was beneficial.